Medical Bay 7 aboard the Galactic Federation ship. Mercy's embrace had never been so quiet. 6 medical professionals of different species stood frozen, their various appendages hovering over instruments as they stared at the bed where, moments ago, a human had been lying unconscious. Dr. Trell, the head physician, blinked all 4 of his eyes in succession. "This is impossible." The human, Lieutenant Jack Wilson of Earth, stood barefoot on the cold metal floor, grimacing as he stretched his arms. His torso was wrapped in translucent medical bandages that glowed faintly blue where they covered the worst of his wounds. Blood, red, so alarmingly red, had seeped through in several places. "Thanks for patching me up," Jack said, his voice raspy but strong. "How long was I out?" None of the medical staff answered immediately. It was Nurse Lovey, a Floxian with delicate pink tendrils that served as both sensory organs and manipulators, who finally spoke. 8 standard hours, she said. "But you shouldn't be conscious, let alone standing." Jack looked down at his bandaged body and shrugged, a motion that made Dr. Trell wince in sympathetic pain. "I've had worse." The statement hung in the air, like a physical thing. Dr. Trell exchanged glances with his colleagues. They had all reviewed the human's medical records as part of the standard procedure when a new species joined the crew. But reading about human resilience and witnessing it firsthand were entirely different experiences. "Lieutenant Wilson," Dr. Trell said carefully, "you sustained multiple piercing injuries from shrapnel when the transport shuttle malfunctioned. Your left lung was punctured, your liver was damaged, and you lost approximately 18% of your blood volume. By all medical standards across the Federation, you should be in critical condition for at least another 3 cycles." Jack nodded as though this information was merely interesting trivia. "Yeah, the shuttle explosion was pretty bad. How are the others?" "The Vendorian ambassador will recover, though their photosynthetic membranes were severely damaged," Dr. Trell said. "The 2 Medusan engineers remain in medically induced stasis. Their neural pathways were disrupted by the trauma." Jack frowned. "And Captain Rem?" The medical team exchanged uncomfortable glances. Nurse Lovey's tendrils drooped slightly. "Captain Rem's exoskeleton absorbed most of the impact," Dr. Trell said. "But the injuries to his internal organs were extensive. He will live, but he will never walk again. The nerve clusters controlling his lower appendages were completely destroyed." Jack's expression darkened. "I want to see him." "That's not advisable," Dr. Trell began, but Jack was already moving toward the door, his movements stiff but determined. "Lieutenant, you must return to bed immediately." Dr. Vax, the Rigelian neurologist, exclaimed, "Your body needs time to—" "My body has had time," Jack said without turning around. "Now I need to see my captain." The 5 junior medical staff looked to Dr. Trell for guidance. After a moment of internal debate, the physician nodded reluctantly. "I will accompany you," he said, moving to Jack's side, "but only for a brief visit." They walked slowly down the corridor, the human's bare feet making soft sounds against the polished floor. Medical staff and crew members they passed stared openly, many stopping in their tracks. Word had spread quickly about the shuttle accident and the severe injuries sustained by all aboard. "They're looking at me like I'm some kind of miracle," Jack muttered. "To them you are," Dr. Trell replied quietly. "A Vendorian with your injuries would be bedridden for weeks. A Medusan would likely never regain consciousness. Even the hardiest. Krell would require at least a full cycle of intensive regeneration therapy." Jack was silent for a moment. "Earth is not a gentle place. We evolved to survive." "Yes," Dr. Trell said. "We've studied your planet's classification as a death world. However, I believe many of us failed to truly comprehend what that meant until now." They reached the intensive care unit where Captain Rem was being kept. The Arthrosian captain lay on a specially designed support cradle, his blue-tinged exoskeleton dull under the medical lights. His upper limbs were connected to various monitoring devices, while his lower limbs lay motionless beneath a regenerative field. Jack approached slowly, his face solemn. "Captain." Captain Rem's compound eyes shifted toward the human. A series of clicking sounds emerged from his mandibles before the translation device at his thorax converted them to standard. "Lieutenant Wilson, they told me you were critically injured." "I got better," Jack said with a small smile. "So I see." The captain's mandibles moved in what those familiar with Arthrosian expressions would recognize as amazement. "The doctors say I will not." Jack's expression hardened. "With all due respect to the medical team, they're not familiar with human stubbornness, sir." Dr. Trell started to object, but Jack continued. "On Earth, we have a long history of medical limitations being overcome. Injuries that were once permanent became treatable. Conditions that were once fatal became manageable. Your optimism is appreciated, Lieutenant, but it's not optimism, sir. It's a promise." Jack straightened despite the visible pain it caused him. "Humans don't accept limitations easily, and we don't leave our own behind." Captain Rem was silent for a long moment. Then his mandibles clicked softly. "I look forward to seeing this human stubbornness in action, Lieutenant." As they left the ICU, Dr. Trell studied the human beside him with new interest. "You truly believe you can help him?" "I believe we can try," Jack replied. "Earth has been developing neural interface technology for decades. It's not perfect, but it might be compatible with Arthrosian physiology. The Federation Medical Council would never approve an untested cross-species procedure." Jack gave the doctor a look that Trell couldn't quite interpret. "Then I guess we'll just have to prove it works," he said. "That's another thing about humans. Doctor, we don't always wait for permission." As they returned to Medical Bay 7, whispers followed them. Word of the human who had walked away from devastating injuries was spreading throughout the ship. By the time they reached the medical bay, 3 senior officers were waiting to speak with Jack. Dr. Trell watched as the human greeted them calmly, despite the blood now seeping more visibly through his bandages. The doctor made a mental note to update the Federation's medical database regarding human resilience. These Deathworlders were more remarkable than anyone had anticipated. And based on Lieutenant Wilson's determined expression as he discussed the captain's condition with the officers, Dr. Trell suspected that the Federation was about to learn that human innovation might be even more formidable than their physical endurance. The galaxy would never be the same.